up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, TV shows. And right now, I'm going to give you guys a ranking. And that ranking is the top 10 Christmas movies according to LQ. So, there are rules here. Number one, the Christmas movie has to have been a theatrically released movie. So that's going to take out Netflix original movies. That's going to take out Lifetime Hallmark movies. That's going to take out Christmas specials like Charlie Brown Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Pretty much anything done by Rankin and Bass. It's going to take that stuff off the plate. Even the classic How the Grinch Stole Christmas cartoon with Boris Karloff, that's off the plate because the rules are has to be feature length, has to be theatrically released. So the top 10 feature length, theatrically released Christmas movies. Before I give you guys the top 10, though, I do have some honorable mentions to discuss. So these are ones not making the top 10. The first is How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey. I love it. It's a great Christmas movie. It just didn't make my top 10. Also, Muppet Christmas Carol. This is actually my favorite version of A Christmas Carol, believe it or not. So I also like the classic one. I also like the one with Jim Carrey that's animated by Robert Zemeckis. I like all three of those. Just none of those the Christmas Carol storyline never really resonated with me. My first experience with the Christmas Carol was Mickey's Christmas Carol. So that's my Christmas Carol. And if I were including made-for-TV specials, that might make the top 10 list. But none of the other Christmas carols really, resonated with me. None of the feature-length, theatrically released ones really resonated with me. They did, just not enough to get me in the top 10. But that Mickey's Christmas Carol, guys, that's mine. Home Alone 2 is an honorable mention. Fred Claus is an honorable mention. Objectively, I can't say it's a very good movie, but subjectively, yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. All right, this one's going to be controversial. Oh, It's a Wonderful Life did not make my top 10 list. Again, this is my list. Yours is going to be very different than mine. A lot of people would probably have It's a Wonderful Life as their favorite. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. I watch it one time every year because it is a perennial favorite. It's one of those perennial movies that you watch every year. But to be honest with you, it's one of those movies that when I do turn it on every year, I'm usually doing something else also. Just because it doesn't hold my interest the way the other 10 do. Also, an honorable mention is The Grinch, the animated one with Benedict Cumberbatch. White Christmas is another honorable mention. That's another one that I watch every year. It's just not in my top 10. So I like it. LQ, White Christmas is good. I agree, it's good. It's good. It's just not my top 10. The Polar Express is an honorable mention. Actually, I just took my son and my daughter out to the theater to watch The Polar Express recently. They did a re-release here where we live, and I took them out to see it, and that was a lot of fun. Also, an honorable mention is Nightmare Before Christmas. I think some people will say it's a Halloween movie, others will say it's a Christmas movie. I say it's both. So, it's an honorable mention. Disclaimer, real fast, before I start with number 10. Die Hard is not on this list. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. If you want to know why I believe Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, I've already done a video on that, and you can find that. On my channel. But Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, so it's not on my list of top 10. All right, so here is my top 10 Christmas movies. Starting with number 10, Santa Claus the Movie. So this is not the Tim Allen version. This is the version that was put out by the Salkinds, the same people behind Superman, Superman 2, Superman 3, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. The same people behind that put this out. And this was, they've mastered that technology. Now we believe that a man can fly, so now we need to believe that reindeer can fly and pull a sled. And that is what they gave us, and they did it very effectively. All the flight sequences were done very effectively, and all the special effects, you could tell there was a lot of care and a lot of time put into this movie. John Lithgow plays the antagonist, and that's when the movie starts to get a little silly. Now, yes, the first half of the movie really focuses on the origin of Santa Claus, where he came from, how he came to be, and how he started delivering presents and all that good stuff. And that part of the movie is really phenomenal. It gets a little silly on the second half when the elf Patch, played by Dudley Moore, who was great by the way, ends up leaving the North Pole and teaming up with an evil toy tycoon, and then we get into a bit of a silly story of good versus evil, but still, it was all done very. It was all done very effectively. It definitely hit the tone that the Salkinds were looking for, and it just felt it was definitely a product of its time. Now, I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. A lot of nostalgia for this movie. This might be the Christmas movie that I watched more than any other when I was little. Like, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I watch this one a lot. So to be fair, there's some bias here. I got a lot of nostalgia for this movie. But Santa Claus the movie is something that I still watch every year with my family, and it's my number 10. Number 9 is The Nativity. So The Nativity is obviously it's a movie that tells about the birth of Christ. But it does it in a very realistic fashion. It tries to cut out a lot of the imagery that's been injected into the Nativity and into Christmas. It tried to cut out all of that imagery and really present this in a way where it was as realistic as possible within the confines of the story that they're telling. Now, as we know, those who've read the Bible, that the wise men did not appear the night that Jesus was born. There's actually a lot of wise men, might have been even hundreds of wise men, we don't know, that kind of appeared, during the time that he was in Bethlehem, because they didn't leave the night that he was born either. They ended up leaving sometime later to go to Egypt, and while they were in Bethlehem, several dozens or maybe even more than that wise men came to visit. For whatever reason in the Christmas story we tend to focus on 3, but there was probably more than that. So yeah, it definitely sticks to some of those Christmas images that we have in our head of the Nativity. But at the same time, they definitely took a realistic approach to it. This came out shortly after The Passion did, done by Mel Gibson. And, I kind of look at this as being in the same cinematic world as The Passion. This is the prequel to The Passion, if you will. So I thought it was very well done, and definitely gives that Christmassy feeling when you're done watching it. Even the music that they chose, very Middle Eastern takes on some classic Christmas themes. It was all very well done, and definitely done with a lot of care. So The Nativity is my number 9. All right, number 8 is The Santa Claus. This is the one with Tim Allen. While part 2 and 3 got progressively worse, The Santa Claus was actually very well done, a lot of fun, and very funny. Tim Allen definitely brought a certain amount of energy and a certain amount of empathy as a single dad who's trying to make things work. And there is a bit of a dark streak in this movie. Why exactly were the elves so happy when Tim Allen showed up and after having accidentally offed the other Santa? I want to know exactly what the other Santa was up to. Maybe he wasn't such a cool dude, but they don't explore that much, and probably rightfully so. But it does have a lot of funny moments. It has a lot of sweet moments, and it's a very it's definitely a favorite of my family's every year. We actually watched it more than one times this year, just because it was easily accessible on Disney Plus, and it's just a lot of fun. All right, number 7. Number 7 is The Miracle on 34th Street. This is the 1947 version. While It's a Wonderful Life and White Christmas did not make my top 10 list, The Miracle on 34th Street did. And that's just because it was the one that got played most in my house when I was a kid. This list is going to have a lot of nostalgia in it. And that's definitely the case with Miracle on 34th Street. For whatever reason, it was out of It's a Wonderful Life and White Christmas and Holiday Inn and all those old school Christmas movies. For whatever reason, Miracle on 34th Street is the one that my parents watched most often. So I watched it more than those other ones, and I kind of developed a certain love for this movie more than those other ones. So for me, Miracle on 34th Street is that old Christmas movie that just stuck with me into my adulthood. And I still watch it every year. And by the way, it is on Disney Plus. So that's number 7. All right, number 6. Number 6 is a movie that I know is a bad movie. Let's just say it. Let's call it what it is. I know it's a bad movie, but I love it. I love it, and it's Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a movie that embraces the absurd commercialism of Christmas, and it's not a movie that presents it in a a lot of those movies want to present the commercialism of Christmas in a bad way, like, ooh, that's bad. This embraces it and has fun with it, and I have fun with the commercialism of Christmas. I think it can be fun. It can be fun. I've said this before. No, it can be bad too. Don't make no mistake. Anything in excess can be bad. But I have fun with the commercialism of Christmas. I think it's a good time, and this movie definitely leans into that silly absurdity that human beings embrace, or at least American human beings embrace at Christmas time. The race, I'm a dad, I've empathized. The race for the dad to find that perfect gift. The need to make Christmas this magical time for your kids. And the importance of embracing family over everything else. Jingle All the Way resonates with me. And there's a lot of reasons why. And those are just a few of them. So Jingle All the Way is my number 6. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's always going to be the action actor. But don't underestimate him as a comedic actor, because I always thought he did a good job in comedy as well. All right, number 5. Number 5 is one that's probably not on anybody's top 10 list except for mine. But again, nostalgia has a lot to do with it, and just good storytelling in my mind, good magical storytelling in my mind has a lot to do with it, and that's Prancer. So Prancer came out when I was a kid, and I was on that, when it came out, I was on that cusp, right? I was definitely questioning a lot of what kids are sold at Christmas time. I was questioning a lot of it at that point. I was like, I don't know about all this. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I think I was probably 8 or 9, something like that. And I was like, I don't know. And Prancer came out at the perfect time, because it sold me on, maybe it didn't sell me on believing, but it sold me on wanting to. And it sold me on the importance of finding that magic in your life. And that has resonated with me even into adulthood. Is always looking for those magical moments. Not just at Christmas time, but in life. Looking for those magical moments. Prancer is about a girl who is being raised by a poor dad, and he loves her. But he doesn't know how to love her. He doesn't know how to express that he loves her. So he's hard on her, and he's hard on her some out of necessity. He can't have her running off and getting into trouble, because he's so busy trying to make ends meet at the house. And she finds a reindeer that's injured, and she takes care of it, and she's convinced that it's one of Santa's. And the ending to this movie, if you haven't seen it, it just oozes Christmas magic, and it just oozes Christmas, that good warm Christmas feeling. There's a part at the end of the movie where he sits down on the bed with her, because she's gone through some stuff in the movie, and she even had a bit of an injury, and she's laying in bed, and he sits down next to her, and he reads her the Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus article. And never has that article been read with so much emotion as that scene, the dad reading it to his daughter, and what that article meant to her, but also what it meant to him. Somebody who's struggling to make ends meet, struggling to survive, but what it meant to him to find that magic. Guys, Prancer is a highly underrated movie. I don't think nearly enough people have seen it, and you should, because it's a great Christmas movie. And that's my number 5. Number four is Home Alone. Home Alone is just a lot of fun. It has that Christmas feeling sprinkled all over it, but it also has a great deal of comedy. You know, at Christmas time, when you were a kid, you got your toys, you got your presents, and you played with them, and you did what you did at Christmas time. But for Kevin, he got Christmas early, because he got his wish to be alone to be alone and be able to do everything that he wanted to do. And then at some point he realizes that what he thought he wanted wasn't really what he wanted. And it's a nice lesson, it's a nice sentiment, but it was filled with funny moments that just where some of it was even gut-bustingly funny, with Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern playing the Wet Bandits. When they come to the house and he's ready for them, it's just hilarious. The punishment that he puts these guys through, the relentless punishment. Nobody would survive that. Let's be real. Nobody would survive that. It was relentless. You know, Batman, Kevin McAllister, two people who can be anybody with prep time. Home Alone is number 4. Number 3 is Elf with Will Ferrell. You know, they set out to Jon Favreau set out to make a modern Christmas classic, and in my opinion, he completely achieved that goal. He made a modern Christmas classic with Elf. Definitely felt Christmas. It felt classic Christmas. A lot of Rankin Bass inspiration in there. But at the heart of it was a story about a father and a son. And aren't so many Christmas stories about that? Be it father-son, mother-daughter, father-daughter, whatever the case may be. So many Christmas stories are about that connection. That connection that can be strengthened during the holidays. And this was a case of that. A father who has been on the wrong path, and he's redeemed, Luke Skywalker style, by his son. Just a wonderful, wonderful Christmas story, but also has all that Christmas magic that you want in it. A lot of, again, gut-bustingly funny moments, and just a good, well-told story. So Elf is number 3. All right, number two is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This is something that I'm sure most households in America watch at least once over Christmas time. It's got all the funny moments that have just resonated with Americans, and all those funny moments that are just so quotable, Randy Quaid out there filling up the storm sewer, is full. The tirade that Chevy Chase goes on at the end of the movie. Just so much of a Christmas Christmas Vacation is just pure comedic genius. And yeah, it's a Christmas movie that actually ends. The end scene takes place before Christmas time. They don't even make it to Christmas. And that's something I've thought of a couple times. They don't even make it to Christmas. The end scene is the night before Christmas, on Christmas Eve. It's just a perennial favorite, and there's a reason for that. Because it just oozes Christmas, but it also oozes comedy, and it oozes outrageous situations that we can all empathize with. Everybody has a Cousin Eddie. Everybody has a Cousin Eddie. It may not be to the level of Eddie in this movie, but everybody has a Cousin Eddie. And if you don't have one, you might want to look in the mirror, because you might be Cousin Eddie. It's just something that resonates with people. People can see themselves in this movie, and it's just a lot of fun. So Christmas Vacation is number 2. Number 1, the best Christmas movie is A Christmas Story. Guys, it might be nostalgia talking. It might be the fact that I've watched my share of Christmas Story marathons. I don't know what it might be, but for me, Christmas Story is the best Christmas movie ever made. Just the stories that he goes through. It's based on the works of Gene Shepherd, and really the movie A Christmas Story was a bunch of Gene Shepherd's short stories just kind of etched together to form a narrative, and they tied everything together with the him wanting the Red Ryder BB gun. But like, you know, the incident at the car with the fudge, the you know, the wanting the Little Orphan Annie compass, you know, all this stuff was just short Gene Shepard stories that were etched together to form a long narrative. But so much of it, even though it took place in the 40s, so much of it was completely 100% identifiable today. You can see yourself in what was happening in this movie. These are still circumstances that we can relate to today. And wanting that gift, or wanting that you know, whatever it might be on Christmas. Every little kid has, my daughter's playing a game out there. Every little kid has experienced wanting that gift. And just the thrill on Christmas morning when you get it. And now I've been on the other end. As a father, I've had that thrill of making sure your kid gets that gift. And that thrill is so much better than the thrill of actually getting it. So, A Christmas Story is by far my favorite Christmas movie ever. I watch it multiple times a season. I probably watched it 3 or 4 times this season, just because it just makes me feel like Christmas is here. That's the mindset that it puts me. Is when I see this, I'm like, all right, I feel like Christmas now. I even took my son to see it out at the theaters. It was re-released here in town, and we went to see it December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. We went to see it. So I love it. It's my favorite Christmas movie, and that's kind of, I don't know if that'll ever change. So what is your favorite Christmas movie? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and as always, thank you so much for joining me here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.